Good morning, everybody. Hello. Whoop. It just stopped that music right away, didn't it? What's up, everybody? Good morning. Hello, Alyssa, Laura, Eleanor. Hello, Clara. Hi. Angel. Hello. Aaron. Hello. Hi, 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 hi. How's everybody doing today? How's your weekend? Sounds like all hell's breaking loose. I mean, is that a surprise? It's not a surprise to me. How was my weekend? It was pretty good. It was pretty good. Hold on, this music is too. It was good. Nothing special. We all got an extra hour of sleep this weekend, so that's always nice. Weekend was good. Fell on cement this morning. Ew. That's rough. Good morning, Garpu. A lot of stuff has been happening. It was one of those weekends where I was looking at the reporting, and I was like, I don't even know what to talk about because so much stuff has been going on. Like the guy they put in as the head of the FDA has resigned. I read that yesterday, or this morning, I mean. I told you, Aaron, not to leap on cement. It's not good for you. Morning, Courtney. I actually streamed Saturday night. Yeah, Saturday night. Here and on Twitch at the same time. Dude, that was fun. But it's the world we live in right now, unfortunately. True. That is unfortunately very true. Oh, you did watch for a bit? The dogs took you out? Torn a little bloody. I'll walk on a limp for a few days, but you'll survive. Well, that's good. I figured people were still going to be busy, but I had nothing to do, so I'm like, I'll just go live. We're like, hey, Steffi, good morning. We're getting up there. It looks like we're about 649 hours away from being able to do membership and super chats and things like that, which is cool that we're getting there. Just need to get more people on here watching stuff. Oh, guys. I don't know how to say this, but let's see if it'll focus. Jesus Christ is following me. I guess I've made it. I don't know. That's a big deal. I'll take your word for it. I mean, Jesus Christ only has 273 followers, so, you know, they're obviously new. You follow God on Facebook. Oh, I don't need this up yet. We don't need to think about this yet. That can go away. As you can see on the bottom, I have a thing. I said I was going to put it up. Obviously, you don't have to give towards it, but just so you know what the hope and plan is for getting when I hit member, when I can have members, is to have member videos of me basically vlogging. Because I try and go for a walk, and I just bring you guys with me and talk about the things that I'm thinking instead of just thinking them. I don't know what they would believe anymore, Clara. I feel like they'll believe anything and nothing at all. And don't forget, tomorrow is election day, and election day I'm going to be live longer tomorrow. I don't actually think I'm going to follow the court order about Snap. That's a very good question. I've heard that he's already trying to delay it, but we'll see. We'll stay live long, help the viewing. Yes. Yes. If I'm live like really long tomorrow and I have a lot of, and I have this, even if it's the same amount of people watching, that will help. Yes. But obviously more people will help even more. This one would be a harder court order for him to ignore. The real question is he going to go up to the appeals, and is the appeals going to stop it? That's really the problem. It's bizarro land. Let's try not to feed our country's most vulnerable. Yeah, of course. That makes total sense. We'll stay live long. It's okay. It's morning. But yeah, so I saw a report today said the wacko that they put in to head the FDA has resigned for something that will shock no one. It came out that he was doing some massively questionable things, and there was going to be an investigation, so he just resigned. Welcome. Morning, Jose. I know, it's shocking. So shocking, Steffi. Things like what? I think it had to do with, so the guy like was partner in or part owned a pharmaceutical company and was using his FDA directorness to personally go after and this company, if I remember what I read correctly. Yeah, I just saw the report yesterday, Laura, so it would have, but you got to remember, it's not like headline news. I mean, is it really surprising at this point that somebody in Trump's administration is a piece of shit and got let go? Like, is that surprising these days? That's unfortunately why it's not news. Now, does that mean we shouldn't pay attention to it and make it and talk about it? No, of course not. But yeah, I saw that Paxton is suing Tylenol. Idiot. The parent company of Tylenol is merging or selling themselves to or whatever. Yeah, I saw that, Angel. Wild is as good of a description as you can get. So how was everyone's Halloween? Did anyone do anything interesting? Or was it a pretty chill day for everyone? I mean, I can imagine that the shutdown probably, and just everything that's going on is with Snap and everything else, has kind of diminished it a lot. Cooked and passed out candy. Heck yeah. Tired of Paxton wasting my tax dollars on dumb lawsuits while they aren't funding education or feeding people. Mm-hmm. You did score a Jello shot. There you go. Didn't. Mine's more spiritual since no young kids to worry about. Gotcha. You stole candy from children? Scott! Trick-or-treating was awesome. Nice. Halloween chill last night. Went to a postmodern jukebox performance. So that was fun. That's cool. How you doing, Scott? You never get trick-or-treaters. I mean, Garpu, I hate to say it, but that's not surprising because I know where you live. I doubt there are going to be many kids going there. That would, although I'm sure some kids would probably think it really cool, but in general, that's not surprising. Morning, Philip. Whole neighborhood came together and passed out candy, hot dogs, hot cocoa, fresh popcorn, etc. Nice. That's awesome. I wish our neighborhood, it seemed like our neighborhood could come together like that. It really doesn't. It's changed a lot around here, and it's kind of sad. Like, I used to know my neighbors, at least somewhat. Not anymore. Scott, did you see that we were talking about it just before you got on, that the FDA, the director of the head of the FDA resigned? Too long a driveway, house too far setback. That's fair. Because he's a piece of shit. And there was going to be an investigation about how much of a piece of shit he was. Let me see if I can find the actual story. Okay, here we are. Good morning, Kia. There you go. Thank you, Philip. Philip got it. I mean, again, they put him in. It's not, yeah. I mean, you're right. You should not be the head of a department you have no knowledge of, just for starters. Bad choices have been made. I mean, yes. Trying to think what other news that I saw that was interesting. Got all the final data on early voting. Better than I expected. Heck yeah, I look forward to talking about it. And just as a reminder for everyone, it's going to be a long day tomorrow. Dre went and saw Obama speak on Saturday. Heck yeah. That must have been awesome. Oh yeah, don't forget to hit that thumbs up, guys. Helps out. In better news, Snap could be back as early as Wednesday. Good. About freaking time. Or they could just open the friggin' government. Sent a video. She was so close. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, he's been in Jersey helping out a lot. Mikey and Obama have been working together. PBS showed the live on TikTok. Heck yeah. So more and more, I'm feeling that somehow we're going to have to grow this over here, because it's getting ridiculous how little I can say over there. Like, I don't know if I'm being focused on specifically. But anytime 90% of what I write in people's lives gets filtered, even the, like, I don't even say anything crazy and it's getting filtered. It was amazing to hear Obama speaking clear and concise sentences and not just talk about, yeah, seriously. You know, we're living in a crazy world when that is the good part, you know? I got filtered talking about chicken pastry in Beck's live this morning. Of course. I think it's our love. I don't know. Oh, by the platform. It's 100% by the platform. And you can tell when he's using humor as opposed to getting caught saying something outrageous and then claiming it was sarcasm. Yeah. This is awesome, guys. Already up to 24 people. This is sick. You guys rock. Yeah, Scott. A lot of people are being filtered. I was on Lewis's live a couple days ago, and I just ended up leaving because 1 out of every 10 things I was writing was getting filtered. And I wasn't even saying anything insane. Saw the hug between Jumper and CK's widow. Yeah. Yeah. I showed the picture to my wife and I was like, would you think this was a platonic friendship if someone was hugging me like this? And she just looked at it and just went, no. Why bed when they already have a couch? Morning, Linda. I mean, you can look it up. If you look up, just Google JD Vance, Erica Kirk, you'll get 12 pictures of it. That's all. Like, they're just showing it everywhere. Oh, yeah. Vance talking about his wife changing religion. That was gross, too. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I'm bad at nonverbals, but even I got that one with the hug. Yeah. Trump Halloween party was disgusting with many Americans unable to eat. Talk about tone deaf. Are we surprised at all? This administration is the king of tone deaf. It's about as tone deaf as building a 90,000 square foot, starting the process of building a 90,000 square foot ballroom while the government shut down. I mean, they just live in tone deaf land, right? It's like something out of Rome or Tsarist Russia. Yeah. Wasn't Usha there too? I don't know, Paige. Hi, Paige, by the way. I did. I didn't want you to have to ground anyone. So I'm helping everybody out. But yeah, this Saturday evening, I just played a chill game and hung out. There was only a couple people, but it was pretty fun. We just hung out. And is speaking soon? Oh boy. I don't want to, but I also kind of want to see what he's gonna say. But I also really don't want to. Yeah. I understood why. I mean, I went live at a weird time. I would just figured I would go live just because I was chilling out. I don't expect anyone to come and watch when I go live at a abnormal time. You're watching Christmas movies on Netflix while doing it? There you go. Trump administration faces a noon deadline to respond to federal questions about the future of Snap. There's a quiet protest GOP reps. Wouldn't that be nice, Clara? Wouldn't that be nice? I figured a lot of people were at like Halloween parties, so I really didn't expect anyone to be there on an evening this weekend. I'm gonna try and go do more fun stuff other than the Friday. Obviously, Friday is gonna be non-politics, but how'd the kimchi turn out? It's still bubbling away, so we'll see. I usually let it ferment on the countertop for, it's a little cooler, so it'll probably be 3 days today, or this batch. But it looks like it came out well. Kimchi's so easy. That's one of the things that I want to do. Again, for those of you guys that see at the bottom, there's a thing I'm trying to. I want to get a vlogging camera to do other stuff. That's the other thing. Those are the other kind of things that I'd like to do with that. Is make other kinds of videos. Because right now my current setup is too difficult to do that kind of stuff with. So. Oh, I still put it in the fridge. So I let it, Garpu, I let it ferment for 2 to 3 days on the countertop. And then after 2 to 3 days, then I put it in the fridge. Because then I take out the weights and I take out all that stuff. So yeah, it still ferments in the fridge for sure. You tend to skip that step on the counter. We go through it too quickly to skip that step. You love sauerkraut but never liked kimchi? Interesting. And it looks like the oral arguments for tariffs are today in the Supreme Court. Depending on when that is, we may listen to that too. What exactly is kimchi? So kimchi is Napa cabbage with chili flakes and a bunch of garlic, stuff like that. And basically you put the chili flakes, the chili paste on the Napa cabbage and let it ferment. It's basically Asian sauerkraut. Fish sauce, yeah. I don't do carrots. I don't do onions either. Ginger, I do. You do. Haha. Hey, Jeremiah. I do green onion. Oh, I love gumbo. All right, I'm gonna go use the bathroom real quick, and then we will. Then the fun will begin, guys. I'll be right back. Okay, give me 1 second. I'm gonna answer a text that I just got. Okay. All right. Who's ready? I'm not ready. We're at day 34, Georgie. No. Hey, we've gotten some people over here that are starting to be a little more consistent thanks to me doing this. Trust me. I'm looking forward to the day where most people, what's up, Spooky Crafts? Most people come over to you're not ready ever. That's fair. That's fair. Fully broccoli. How you doing, Spooky Crafts? How was your weekend? Doing chicken pot pie, crock pot thingy today? Heck yeah. What are we doing today? What's today's meal? Spaghetti and meatballs. I'm making meatballs today. I have no idea what I'm making. I want Hawaiian meatballs, but didn't defrost the beef. Handmade gumbo. It would be a chicken and dumplings. Ooh, chicken and dumplings. So good. Is there an option for us? Like, you want me to turn off the music? There should be a way to make it closed captioned. At least there should be. Your head is banging. I feel you. Hey, Siberia. Hey, Laura. Hey, Linda. What's up, man from the West? What's up, Scott? I can turn it down a little bit. What's up, Robbie? They have a screen that says open the government now. Is that for MJ because he's the one that can't get them back to work? Seriously. Seriously. You have press conference pulled up on the other screen. Ugh. This is about to be the longest shutdown in history if it goes past tomorrow. I'm sorry, Kia. Oh, we're at 30 people. Hey, Lori. I know that was this Friday. We will miss another paycheck. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Erica. Sorry I was late today. Had a meeting. It's all good, Robbie. I hear you. I understand completely. Well, then the Republicans better start negotiating to get those 6 Dems. Because that's how it works. Because again, the filibuster's job is to force the majority to negotiate with the minority. See if we can... Oh, he's already beaten his record. I thought his record was 31 before. But maybe it wasn't. I don't know. Well, he's on his way for sure. Dar's ACA went from 0 to 80. Reference ACA doubled. Are we gray yet? Seriously. Too much. Again, that's not how it works, Kevin. The point is, regardless of whether you agree with it or not, the filibuster exists to require the majority to negotiate with the minority. I'm not your son, Kevin. Grow up. What was it the Senate had 62 votes for again? What do you mean? When? When, Philip? Good morning, James. Hey, Brits. How are you doing? Sorry, I missed that. Hi, Jay. Nope. Not even a little bit. Stellar. Hey, Ramblin'. Guys, if you're over on the TikTok side, please tap that screen. It helps push it out to other people. Also, sharing the live and joining the fan club also helps. Hold on a second. I think I gotta take this phone call. Sorry, I'm back. Hey, Gerber Daisy. How do you feel about the run on insurance companies exploiting the people? I mean, we'll be back to normal. Okay, Yahoo. There's a government shutdown. Yeah. There's a government shutdown. Yeah, Brits. It's kind of crazy right now. I love when people say everyone knows when obviously everyone doesn't know, because there's a whole bunch of people here that are pretty blatant about it. Bro really doesn't understand how a government works and how the filibuster works. Gary. Hey, Ash. Gobsmacked that insurance is going $800 a month. Yep. I'm planning on being live a good chunk, if not all of tomorrow. So yeah, I'll have stuff up to keep track of what's going on. What is the division? The new ACA rates are coming out without the subsidies that are going to end at the end of December, and people's insurance rates are doubling, sometimes tripling, and the GOP is choosing to not negotiate at all. Oh no, the Dems want to vote to open the government totally. They just want to be negotiated with. Spewing nonsense, shocker. Hey, Melody. You support a what do you mean by socialist? What does a socialist government mean to you? Horrible art of the deal. Seriously. No one cares about politics? No, they voted the same. The Republicans put the same bill forward 13 times. That's not negotiating. Oh, that's not surprising, Cam. That's not surprising at all. State Farm asked for a reduction in rate. What does that mean? The ACA isn't an insurance company. They are a marketplace. What's up, Eric? Do you think they'll get rid? No, I don't think they'll get rid of the filibuster. There's a reason. There's a reason the filibuster exists. Do I think this too? Of course they're separate. Of course the ACA was meant to be subsidized. Everyone who's got private insurance with their company gets subsidized health insurance too. You know that, right? You understand that, right? We all get subsidized health insurance. If your company pays for part of your health insurance is subsidized. Mike Lawler and Hakeem Jeffries want to discuss. Well, that's good. The House is, unfortunately, the House is going to have trouble doing anything as long as Mike Johnson keeps everything shut down. while supporting corporate welfare. Oh, he's absolutely useless. Good morning, Ginger. Guys, just so you know, if you're over here, I'm also live over on the tube. I'm trying to grow over there because this app has been very weird lately, especially with comments, and you don't have to worry about comments as much over there, especially being filtered. And there's a good group of people over there, so you should go join. That is why the subsidies were put in place, Uber. Yeah. And now they're needed to just make it possible for people to continue to have healthcare because the costs have gone up. How can we get back to a stronger Bill of Rights? What do you mean by stronger? The Constitution is only as strong as the government that enforces it and how it is interpreted. Yeah, if you go to the tube and look that up, yes. And you'll see the same picture there. Yep. You never see my videos? Yeah, it's pretty bad. You're right. They need more Democrat votes to pass a budget. That is true. And that requires negotiation. Again, that's the point of the filibuster, to require negotiation. The pandemic did end, and the temporary emergency pandemic relief. You're right. It's needed for a different reason now. It's not pandemic relief. It's just to make it so it's affordable. So, Alifro, I think you need to understand that the First Amendment and the Second Amendment weren't originally the First and the Second Amendment. They didn't organize the Bill of Rights based on importance. Actually, when the Bill of Rights went to be ratified, there were 12 amendments. The original First and Second Amendments did not get ratified. So what was the Third and Fourth Amendment became the First and Second, and so forth. I feel like that's a frequent thing for Johnson. Got to make himself... Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Longest shutdown in history? Not yet, Brits. Not until Wednesday. Good morning, Nikki. And didn't he write an entire book about negotiating? Yep. Aw. Thank you. Thanks, Viewpoint Stadia. I appreciate it. Why are Democrats wanting to make it possible for millions of people to afford health insurance? It is not the same, CR. Things are not being funded that were being funded. It's not. PBS is no longer being funded. USAID is no longer being funded. It's not the same. No, Walter, it's not. No, it's not. The point of the filibuster is to require the majority to negotiate with the minority. That is the purpose of the filibuster. That's why it exists. And they are not negotiating at all. But it passed the House, so It only takes a simple majority to pass the House. It takes more to pass the Senate. That's the way it is. You can dislike it all you want, but that's the way it is. Oh, we got whiners. You're so confidently ignorant, it's hilarious, Tag. Goodbye. Maybe they should get rid of the filibuster to get... They could, DJ. It's just a Senate rule. They absolutely could. Both sides want their idea over the other. Well, yeah, that's how a negotiation starts. You put forth your ideas on both sides, and then you negotiate. Right now, the Senate is not negotiating, which is why nothing's getting done. The GOP are the ones not negotiating. That... What, in your opinion, is the middle ground? The middle ground is extending the ACA subsidies for 1 year. That is middle ground. Because originally, the thing they put forth that they want had a lot more stuff. They said open the government, and then they did say that.
Only you had a motive for murder.
Fill coffers for useless people. Trent, that is a stupid ass thing to say. But Dems won't do it. You're right, because that's not how negotiation worked. They just spent 34 days they could have been negotiating, and they're not doing anything. Why aren't they negotiating? Why do you have to open it with and then negotiate when you could be negotiating right now? Jeez, people. Not that hard. Huh? It's really not. What's up, buddy?
Good morning. Hey, you remember where we disagreed when the shutdown began and I had said, geez, I wish that it would wait until November?
Yep.
Well, there was a reason I wanted it to wait till November, because I wanted the 27 million Americans who are on the Affordable Care Act to see just how high their premiums would go. So we've accomplished everything politically we need to accomplish. They have seen it all by now, because I can assure you that on Saturday, November 1st to now, November 3rd, the American people who are on the ACA have checked out their premiums and they are hopping mad.
Yep. Hey, Bruce.
And that's in addition to the snafu with the SNAP benefits.
GOP. And that's the other thing, AJ, and that's true. Who trusts the GOP to, like, who's to say the GOP would negotiate in the time after anyways? All they have to do is wait another 7 weeks and be like, oh yeah, we're going to negotiate. And then it happens again. Like,
or another way of looking at it, if the GOP says they want to negotiate, well, no time better than now.
Exactly.
Negotiate.
That's what I'm saying.
Let's negotiate. You
Yeah.
say you want to negotiate, let's negotiate.
Yep. Yes, they haven't negotiated at all. Since this whole administration started, there has been no negotiation on anything. So if big swath of Republicans change support, what could they do to make a change? Well, in the end, unless it's a filibuster, unless it's a 2/3 majority in the House, a veto-proof majority, there still isn't much that Congress could do on things that, unless the president was willing to sign them. Oh yeah, the House has been on vacation. They've worked 20 days over the last 4 months, almost 5 now. Of course the Dems negotiated. What are you talking about? They would that's nonstop. Do you understand, DJ, that 6 out of the last 7 shutdowns that this country has had have been when Congress was both Republican?
Well, the issue, Bonnie, is the negotiation in the Senate. The House has already passed it. So the issue is right now before the Senate, and the Senate needs 60 votes, and Republicans only have 53. So when you don't have a 60 votes, what's known as a supermajority, it is incumbent upon the majority to have to negotiate with the minority. And the Senate majority is refusing to negotiate.
Now, how long can Johnson hold them out? Uh, Johnson can put them on vacation for as long as he wants. We're not even close to the longest amount of time that the House has been in recess. I saw someone else talk about it. It was like 6 months or more of 1 year that the House is like the record.
Well, in the olden days, the House used to, and the Senate used to shut down for the entire summer from May to September. But at any rate, Johnson will have to bring them back if and when there is an agreement in the Senate, because then it has to go to conference committee.
Yeah.
So he'll have to bring them back then. And at that point, he will also have to sign in the representative from the 7th District of Arizona, which, by the way, he could do today.
Fairy Lady, unfortunately, nothing. Unfortunately, nothing. Vote. That is unfortunately the only official thing in place for that. Johnson and the House passed it. Okay. There are different rules in the House. The House just needs a simple majority. The Senate needs to negotiate. You don't seem to get it. There is a House rule that its only purpose is to require the majority to negotiate with the minority. That's its purpose. No, it has nothing to do with that user whatever something is placed. But, hey Maureen. They need to pass a law against that. There needs to be a lot of change. I think you're going to see at some point in the future some major changes in whether it's amendments to the current constitution or a whole new constitution altogether. I think you're going to see a lot of changes after what has been shown. I don't think the current constitution can survive after what this administration has shown some gaping holes in our ability to have this constitution actually oversee things. So I know you can't answer, Swerve, but yeah, that's what a constitutional convention would do, which it's in the Constitution how you have a constitutional convention, which would involve redoing it all. Now, are we going to have enough states to do it yet? No, I don't think we're going to have enough states to do it yet. But we're, this one has worked. It has not worked for a lot of people, Alabama lady. You're part of a marginalized community. It hasn't worked for you very well at all.
I was just getting ready to say, like, obviously, like, you must not belong to, um, like, you must not be BIPOC, you must not be so many other kind of freaking things to even say something is freaking ignorant as that. That is so damn ignorant. Obviously, the Constitution has been, it's 50 years old almost.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, but a document that was written 250 years ago is not compatible for the way life is right now. They had no clue that we would have supercomputers in our hands, that you could fly around the world in hours versus it taking you months. They had no idea this stuff was going to happen. It totally needs to be completely rewritten and
Oh
done
my
again.
gosh. Lee says a constitutional republic is a form of democracy because we vote in democratically representatives that follow a constitution. Not that hard. You're right. We are a constitutional republic. Doesn't change the fact that a constitutional republic is a form of democracy.
Like I've said, and I feel justified because I know when I was saying it, I wasn't hearing it being said before, and I said this a long time ago, but I've been hearing it in other political spaces on TikTok as well, is that, one thing that we're learning is how much needs to be fixed and how weak it really truly was.
Mhm.
When you're trying to do it as, a trust me bro or on a handshake to expect people to actually follow the rules, it just goes to show that's not working.
Mhm. Hey, Leanne. Yeah, I mean, again, so here's the thing, Fairy Lay. In the grand scheme of things, the Constitution was written not only at a different time, but for a very specific group of people. And while amendments have happened that have, in some ways, attempted to fix is probably a strong word, some of the issues, it is not strong. It is not written in such a way. Our society and our laws are not written in such a way that that work for today's society. Now, does that mean we would literally get rid of everything in it? No, I think in some ways, some things would just get rewritten to have more authority written into them and be less vague as they are right now.
Stop trying to talk in flowery language and just put it in regular words.
But now I see it will not protect. Yeah, I know, and I wasn't getting on you about anything. I was just going a little deeper into what you were saying. The fact is we've got to be more, the Constitution needs to be more specific on things. You needed a lawyer present to write it. I mean, most of the people that wrote it were lawyers. So
Well, sometimes you have to have legalese in it because the Constitution is, after all, law.
I just think I think we could take some points of it, but I think honestly the whole thing needs to be shredded and completely rewritten. There are like a couple of good little bits in there, but for me again, like I said, like if this is supposed to be, I understand it being a law, but where did it ever say in what rule books or where did it say that stuff has to be written so the people who are supposed to live by those rules can't understand it as it's written. You shouldn't have to go to school and become a lawyer to have a degree to understand how the Constitution is written. And I think that's part of the problem. I think it needs to be done in a way that people can actually understand it, and that there's not so much. Now I agree with you on that vagueness. That vagueness needs to get taken out. And because when you leave all those vague gray areas in the middle and say, well, it doesn't say we can't do it.
I guess, Kia, the hard part becomes that, and I'm sure Scott can elaborate more on this. Lawyers will literally make arguments in court about where a comma is in a sentence or where a period appears in a sentence. And so the problem becomes is it's not that it has to be written in such a way, it's that the interpretation is what the challenge is.
Yeah.
Well, that's
You
exactly
see that right, Scott?
That's exactly right. That's why you have constitutional lawyers, and that's why you have the Supreme Court interpreting the Constitution. But Kia makes a point. It can be written in a way that can be understood. And quite frankly, I think most of the Constitution is written in a way that can be understood. The things that are not written in ways that can be understood are legislation that comes out of Congress. Good luck trying to figure out what the hell they're trying to say. Yeah, I'm used to reading documents, and I read some legislation. I can't make heads or tails out of it. But they're and I do agree that we've had this discussion 1,000 times, so I won't belabor it. I know Mike and I I know Kia agree that the time has come for a constitutional convention. That we have to ask ourselves one basic question: is the Constitution working as we would like it to work in the 21st century? And to me, the answer is no. But others may disagree, but that's why you have a convention. Work those things out.
Can you write into it that a convicted felon cannot? I mean, can we? Yes. Should we? Yes.
A constitutional convention can address any issue they choose. They are not irrespective of anything. They can change anything they want in the current Constitution, with one exception, and that is that there will always be 2 senators from every state. That is the only thing that can never be changed.
And Goose saying that it works and it just needs to be amended ignores the fact that when the Constitution was originally written, a vast majority of the people that lived in this country had no rights. And an amendment, while it helpful, does not truly address that issue. And it's being shown in the way things are going right now. You've got amendments that were written for a specific reason. You've got things in the Constitution that were there for a specific reason, and now they're being interpreted in such a way to take rights from people that they were written to give rights to. You've got the Fourth Amendment being ignored. You've got the First Amendment being ignored.
The whole damn thing and all these parts. They're trying to pick apart little pieces all over.
170 United States citizens got detained for no reason. That's a Fourth Amendment violation. There's a reason that federal agencies need to get, yes, it is, illegal search and seizure. That is why you are supposed to you're supposed to bring evidence to a judge to get a warrant. That is why those exist.
The Due Process Clause of the 5th and 14th Amendments.
Yeah, I definitely think, because I mean, like, even down to the way the representation is done. Gerrymandering needs to be like put in as outlawed. They can't draw their districts to pick their voters. I think even like with the whole Senate thing, if you want to keep that, it to me that, and I struggle with it, and I guess I get it, but it's like, why does a state that has 600 people 600,000 people have the same kind of pull in the Senate when it comes to somebody that has 50 million people.
Yeah, that was the political buy-in to get small states to join the union. That was the political buy-in. It sucks, but that's the political reality of it. The small states would not have approved the Constitution unless they got the same amount of senators as the big states. And by the way, if you had a whole new Constitution, you would get that kind of pressure from the small states today.
Can campaign funds be capped? I mean, anything. Again, if we're talking,
You can do anything with a new Constitution, anything you want.
yeah.
We all have to wear hats with bunny ears on it. You can do anything you want.
Deborah
We
brings
have a
up a good
whole
point from the other side. Sorry, hang on one second, Tiffany. Deborah brings up a good point from the other side. They said we had a little less than 4 million people when the Constitution was established. Now we have over 330 million people. Big difference. We were only 13 states, not 50 plus territories, and that's definitely a big difference. You're right.
Sure, it's the difference between the 18th century and the 21st century. Absolutely. The playing field is barely recognizable from 1787, which is when the Constitution was first proposed, in 1789 when the final passage occurred. But we're in a whole different world now. As you pointed out before, didn't take 4 months to get someplace in the world where it takes 5 hours on a jet.
Oh, Ryan, you sound like the soy boy. Goodbye. Because if it wasn't like that, the nation would be run by 2 states. So here's my issue with all
It's
of. Here's
just
my.
a second though, guys, because Tiffany was speaking. Like her and I went to go speak at the same time, so I just don't want to forget that Tiffany wanted to speak as well.
It's okay. I was just gonna be patient. I was gonna say and it's obviously coming from a Canadian. We have a whole damn province that didn't sign the BNA Act and also didn't sign our Constitution in 1982. Like we have a whole damn province that actually hasn't signed any of that stuff. We still managed to make the whole thing work. I don't know how, but like Quebec has never signed any of it. Technically, they have not signed the Constitution. They never did. They just choose to be part of Canada every day they exist. Essentially, is my understanding. Sorry if there's anybody from Quebec here. I love you all so much. You have no idea. But I had to make the joke. But there's always a way to make these things work. And I think it really is important that there is something updated in a constitution in the United States to kind of give a more 20th century perspective on things. Like some of the laws that would have been created in the end of the end of the 1800s, some of the things that exist today, that you would have actually probably been put in an asylum for even saying some of the things out loud because they would have thought they were so crazy. Let's be honest. And I just, there needs to be laws put in place to ensure that, I don't know, presidents can't come in and decide to break the Constitution so they can go, run for a third term and do whatever they want and steal from the people. Apparently that's not in the law anywhere or anybody willing to enforce it.
In fairness, Tiffany, you're right. In fairness, the founding fathers foresaw that we would rewrite the Constitution approximately every 20 years. Each new generation writes a Constitution to govern itself based upon the experiences and expectations of that new generation. We didn't do it. We should have.
Precisely. Like, can you imagine explaining to the forefathers airplanes, germ theory, so many scientific discoveries, or even just things that have happened since then, and them not thinking you were absolutely ready to go to asylum? Like, genuinely, I can't imagine it. And especially as women, that would have been a whole nother ball game.
Oh, bye, Chris. So Eric, I understand why small states don't like the idea of popular vote being the thing for. What's interesting to me is that popular vote runs everything but the president. Literally everything else. There is nothing else in this country that is not run by popular vote except for the president. And as you can see, the president doesn't have supreme authority even over their like like the government is shut down, and the GOP literally are the majority in all three branches. So it's not as though the president literally can do everything. And let's be fair, this president has a lot more power only because Congress has literally abdicated their authority on almost everything. In a normal world, the president would not be able to do as much as the president is doing right now, or at least 20 years ago or more. So it's interesting that people care about. I mean, people have always cared about the presidential vote more than any other, even though, again, everything except for the president is majority. That's the only position. And I don't know why people care that much about it. Because in the end, you should be caring more about, if we cared more about the other ones, like if we cared about our Senate vote more, and you got a veto-proof majority in the Senate, then it wouldn't matter who was president. It literally wouldn't matter.
Oh, I wanted to speak on something that was on the other side. Ashhole had brought up something that's happening in Oklahoma. She said if you live in Oklahoma, pay attention to the new law. I think it's 21540D. That makes it illegal to knowingly come within 25 feet of a first responder. The issue is the loose wording in the law. While they are working, it's listed as like harassing, dictating, distracting with specific reference to recording them. So with ICE detentions and the force they use, if you try to protect others, you can become a target. So if you're in Oklahoma and you go to the music festivals, try to protect your neighbors, it can now be criminally charged.
Yeah, getting back to what you were saying, Mike, for the vast majority of our nation's history, by far the most powerful branch of government was Congress. Most presidents didn't have much power. That's really only a 20th century construct. Congress, even when the president's party had huge majorities and the president of the same party, the president was largely sidelined in most legislation. He had to bend to the will of Congress, and Congress exercised that power. We live in an era now where Congress, as you had said, has completely and totally abdicated its rights under the Constitution, but also its responsibilities under the Constitution. They have an oversight responsibility that they have apparently forgotten all about.
DGUT, it is a GOP shutdown because we have a thing called the filibuster. The purpose of the filibuster, it's a Senate rule that could be gotten rid of with a majority of the Senate. But it hasn't for a long time because the filibuster does something that both sides want, which is give the people in the minority a say, the ability to require the majority to negotiate with them. The GOP have chosen to not negotiate in any sense of the word. That is why if they had spent the last 5 months negotiating and the Democrats were like, nope, we're not taking any of it. And again, this is all depending on what they specifically were talking about, because we don't know what the offers would be. But I would be much more open to putting blame on Democrats if negotiation happened, but there hasn't been. They said, take it or leave it. And Jake, I know you can't talk anymore, but I think it's hilarious that that you think it's funny that that Democrats would be fighting to make it affordable for people.
And Jake, I know you can't hear this, or maybe you can hear it, but you can't respond. Would you be surprised to know that 3 out of every 4 people who get subsidies under the ACA are Republicans, come from red states? Would you be surprised to know that the top 10 states that get subsidies, all 10, are Republican? That the Democrats are fighting for all Americans to get the subsidies, but the major beneficiaries of that are the red states, not the blue states.
And I was gonna make a video about this, and I ended up making it a little different. But for the thing that Ash was talking about in Oklahoma, and stuff happening all over the country, they this is exactly what everyone should expect them to be doing in the grand scheme of things. This is called authoritarian rule. This is like, if they were doing a good thing, we wouldn't be having 7 million people on No King's Day. You wouldn't have what's going on in all different states. This is exactly what we should be expecting to happen. Like,
Wait, what has happened?
oh, it's the face pulling thing. Thank you, Ash.
Oh my god. The fuck is that? I've never seen that before. That was cute. Yeah, make sure you keep tapping too. Make sure if you're over on the other side, I see more thumbs up than I see people, but I know I don't see people that were in there earlier, so make sure you're doing all the things, please.
You ghost like me. What I
Yeah,
hear.
somebody in chat said I was wrong, so let me name the top states who are receiving subsidies. Number 1, by a wide margin, huge margin, Florida. Number 2, Texas. Number 3, Georgia. Number 4, Utah. Number 5, South Carolina. Number 6, Mississippi. Number 7, North Carolina. Number 8, Tennessee. Number 9, Nebraska. And number 10, Louisiana. And what do all those states have in common? They're red.
By the way, Scott, you said you had some on Tube this morning. You said you had some updated numbers.
Yeah, I do. Obviously, as everybody knows, we have 2 very big elections coming up tomorrow, and early voting has been completed yesterday in both of them. The Virginia contest is pretty much well in hand by Representative Spamberger. She has about a 10-point lead. There is no early voting data on that because Virginia does not differentiate between Republicans and Democrats. Based upon rough geographical data, Spamberger's lead appears to be holding. In New Jersey, the final polling, and I only use A-rated pollsters, so I will give the last polling numbers for them. Atlas has Democrat Mickey Sherrill up by 1 point. Emerson has Mickey Sherrill up by 2 points, which is an increase from their September poll, which showed a dead heat. Fox News has her up by 7 points, which is an increase from their September poll of 5. Quinnipiac has her up by 8 points, which is an increase of 2 points also from their September poll. Now, the actual voting points a slightly different puts a different flavor on that. Why is Mikey Sherrill not running away with it? There are very specific New Jersey-centric reasons. For the last 65 years in New Jersey, It is a blue state, but we've had 5 Democrat and 5 Republican governors. No governor, none in the last 65 years has been allowed, no party has been allowed to serve 3 consecutive terms. So Mikey Sherrill is up against history here. That's why the race is a little bit closer. Another reason that the race is a little bit closer is the energy bills and property tax issues for which people blame the party in power. The party in power is now the Democrats. And when the Republicans are in power, the voters of New Jersey blame them for that too. Also, there's candidate quality. The Republican candidate, Winsome Earl Sears in Virginia, is a train wreck. A box of Kleenex could beat her. Jack Citarelli has run. I don't like him very much, but he's run a very good campaign in New Jersey. However, let's get to the actual numbers. In 2021, Governor Murphy won re-election. He won by 84,286 votes. Remember that. That's about 3.2%. It was a closer election than people thought it would be. Going into Election Day, he had already banked a lead of 167,000 early votes. Now, that's normal. Democrats tend to vote early. Republicans tend to vote on Election Day. On Election Day, Jack Citarelli picked up 83,000 votes. It wasn't enough. He still lost by 84,286. Where is Ms. Sherrill today? What will she go in with? She will go in with a lead not of 167,000 votes. She will go in with a lead of 275,000 votes. Democratic turnout in early voting has surpassed.
Can you say that one more time? I'm sorry.
Yes. Mikey Sherrill will go into tomorrow with a lead of 275,000 votes, 266 as of yesterday. However, you still have some mail-in votes, which are breaking hugely. Democrats love mail-in votes, Republicans don't. Will add about 7,000 votes to her total. That is more than that's about 107,000 more votes than Governor Murphy had in his bank account going into Election Day. So what does that mean for Jack Citarelli? On Election Day in 2021, he outperformed the Democrat by 83,000 votes, which wasn't enough because Murphy had 160,000 votes in the bank from early voting. Now Sherrill has 275,000 votes in the bank with early voting, which means that Jack Citarelli, instead of getting the 83,000 vote plurality that he got in 2001, needs a 275,000 vote plurality in Election Day voting tomorrow. Is that impossible? No, it is possible. However, it's not probable. It would require him to perform at 320% better than he did 4 years ago on Election Day voting. Moreover, the available pool of votes tomorrow will be smaller since you had an increase in early voting this year. So only 55% of the vote will be cast tomorrow as opposed to 59% of the vote. So he has to run up on his Election Day totals 275,000 votes. And 4 years ago, he only ran up 83,000 votes. So it's going to be a little bit difficult for him, but it is not impossible. I want to emphasize that. This race will most likely be closer than Virginia and closer than New York City. So it is not a given. However, it is probable that Mikey Sherrill will prevail. And to get those type of numbers that he needs, he has to really do well and he knows it. It's why he's there every single week, multiple times a week. He's going to have to do well with Hispanic voters in Passaic. He did okay with them. Donald Trump did very well with them in 2024, but there's been a little bit of a change since Election Day in 2024. Donald Trump had a 47% approval rating on Election Day among Hispanic voters on Election Day in 2024. He is now down to 27% approval rating. I don't know where Jack Citarelli is going to get those votes. It's going to be tough. It's possible. The betting markets give him about a 15% chance of winning. I would think it's a little bit higher than that, in all honesty. I would say he has about a 1 in 4 chance.
I have a I have a question. It's more based off of a comment from the other side. Mo was talking about VA. Do you have any? She was saying our turnout numbers in VA are high compared as well. Do you have numbers and stuff about Virginia by any chance?
Again, Virginia does not differentiate between Democratic or Republican turnout. So they just have
Okay.
total turnout numbers, and total turnout numbers are running about akin to the election of 2021. However, the Spanberger, I'm sorry, I mispronounced her name. The Spanberger campaign is happy with where they see the votes coming from. The voting turnout is higher in traditionally Democratic areas, namely northeastern Virginia, the suburbs of Washington, D.C., which is completely understandable. It tracks because those people are fired up.
They're
Folks,
all not working.
where do you think our government workers live? They live in the northeastern suburbs of Washington, D.C., in Virginia, and they are hopping mad, and there isn't one of them who isn't going to vote. Even the people who weren't fired are now working under conditions where A, they could be fired, and B, they're being treated very poorly by their administrators, and they know it. They're trying to force them out. And they are going to vote, and they will not be voting for Winsome Earl Sears. That's for sure. And Sears has run just a train wreck of a campaign. She has one issue. The trans people are coming, the trans people are coming, the trans people are coming. She just keeps repeating herself like Pavlov's dog. And you want to know what percentage of Virginians think the trans issue is a big issue? 3%. 3. I don't know who's advising her, but she's run one of the dumbest campaigns I've ever seen. Jack Citarelli, hate him or like him, and I'm not a fan, but he at least knows where to go to get the votes, and he has run a very hard-hitting campaign. So there is a big difference in candidate quality, and that matters. That's why the vote in New Jersey is going to be closer than the vote in Virginia. But I do think that given the huge numbers that Cheryl has run up in the early voting, it's going to be difficult for Citarelli to turn out those numbers on election day. That he has to win tomorrow's vote by 275,000 votes, and he only did it by 83,000 in 2021. So I don't know where he thinks he's going to find the other 190,000 votes.
And yes, Kaga, Zoran, the mayoral race is tomorrow, or the election day for mayor in New York City is also tomorrow.
Yeah, the early voting in New York was rather desultory over last week, but there was a rush of early voting over the weekend to bring it up to normal statistics. And for the Mandami campaign, they had to be a little bit encouraged by the early voting yesterday and Saturday, because that early voting, the younger people finally started to turn out. And younger people tend not to like early voting. They tend to also vote on election day. But they did turn out yesterday. Mandami is holding a pretty solid 10-point lead, and I don't think his campaign is terribly worried. But we'll see.
Yep. And just for everyone knows, my plan is to be live most of the day tomorrow to keep an eye on. We'll watch we'll watch the mayoral race, the governor's races, the attorney general in Virginia, got Prop 50 in California. There's some other things that'll be important to pay attention to. I know Texas has a lot of things that are coming up.
There's multiple thousands of elections tomorrow. Y'all, so please, please make sure you check and see if there's anything in your locale, your small city, your town. I've seen city council signs, school board members, all kinds of like off non-main elections are happening tomorrow. So please make sure you check it out.
Yep.
Joel, to answer your question, is Governor Murphy popular in New Jersey? The answer is no. He's not overwhelmingly unpopular, but he is not popular. Is that a drag, as you indicate in your comment on the Cheryl campaign? The answer is yes. There's a reason Cheryl isn't up by 10 points like Spanberger is in Virginia. And that's one of the reasons, which I said in the beginning of what I was saying. However, the bottom line is that Murphy ran up 170,000 vote plurality in early voting, and Mikey Sherrill has run up a 275,000 lead in early voting. That's a huge difference. And Citarelli is going to have to make up those votes. In 2021, Citarelli made up 83,000 of the votes, not nearly enough. That's why he lost by 84,000. He's got to make up 275,000 tomorrow. Now, Joel, how's he going to do that? Why don't you tell me?
And again, is it a guarantee? No, nothing's ever a guarantee. There's none of us look at polls here and say anything's a guarantee. None of us look at anything and think it's a guarantee, which is why we will always say, get out and vote. Get out and vote. Just do it.
And Joel, I agree with you. The polls did say that Hillary was winning. I'm not quoting polls. I'm quoting votes already cast. Votes, not polls. Votes. Those are votes. They're in the bank.
Hey, Mama Bear. No election in my area. I'm just watching certain races to see who wins. Super. There's no local elections?
Make sure you look it up, because even in my little town of 2,200 people, I'm actually outside the city limits, so I don't get to vote for that one. But it's like the mayoral race. Our mayor is like a part-time position type of person. I mean, I live in a town of 3 stoplights. But definitely, please just double check whether you have to Google whatever. Please just double check and make sure if you don't have any kind of races. I do know sometimes that people that live outside of the city and town limits, like I do, sometimes some of the elections that are going on, we're not allowed to participate. But just double check.
I would like to say, to add to what Mike said, none of these races are called yet. And is there a world where Jack Citarelli can upset and win tomorrow? Yes. Yes. He has a decent chance of winning. It is possible he could win. It is not probable that he will win, but it is certainly possible. And frankly, my own view, looking at it using statistical analysis, he's got a little bit better chance than the betting markets, which are giving him a 15% chance of winning. When I crunch the numbers, it comes up to in between 20 and 25% chance of winning. So a 4-to-1 shot comes in all the time at the racetrack. So, get out and vote, people in New Jersey. Get out and vote.
And again, I want to point out to the people here, just so you know, I'm live here and on the tube. I post new episodes twice a week. And so there'll be an episode coming out tomorrow, but I'm also live and you don't have to worry about getting filtered. We're trying to grow over there because this app likes to filter everything that we say.
I was just about to talk about the other side.
And also, just so everyone knows, we're about 1,600 view hours away from full monetization. If we hit that, we're going to do a party. So if you like podcasts, if you like that kind of content, if you like what we do here, please consider watching my stuff. It helps out a lot, and it makes it possible for me to keep doing what I'm doing.
I do want to add something that counts for New Jersey, that counts for Virginia, that counts for every single election across the country tomorrow. You all have polling, the polling in for the Proposition 50 in California. which is going well for Governor Newsom. There's been an 8-ball thrown in over the last couple of days, and we don't know how it'll play out, but probably not very good for the Republicans. And I'm talking about the 1 in 8 Americans who collect SNAP benefits and the 27 million Americans who now know, after the first, when the marketplace opened up, they now know the price increases in their health care. And they are averaging in New Jersey 174%, nationwide in between 100 and 125, closer to 125% price increase for next year. People are in a state of shock about that, and they're going to take that out. Now, that is not showing up in any of the last-minute polls, which were all conducted a week before the numbers came out. So that is not reflected, but that will have an effect on the voting tomorrow.
Okay. Trying to take it back to the other side for a minute, a little bit ago, when we first started talking about the numbers that had come up. People were at somebody had asked if anybody had saw Obama speak in New Jersey with Mikey Sherrill. And then also there's questions about like voting locations. Just double check your voting locations. I know some states they've been doing janky shit and getting rid of a bunch of different polling locations and stuff like that, places where you can go vote. So there's stuff online. If you put in your address, it'll tell you where your polling precinct is going to be, where you're going to go to vote. So just look that up. But yeah, Obama yesterday was absolutely amazing. I can't remember who said that. I think it was Brits, but Obama was absolutely amazing Saturday in New Jersey. It's amazing how listening to somebody speak in complete sentences could give you such the warm and fuzzies.
Well, message to the Democrats, find ourselves a new Obama, because right now Chuck Schumer ain't cutting it.
No.
You know, my advice to Minority Leader Schumer, just don't say anything. Stop going on TV. Just stop talking. Stop talking, please. Work behind the scenes. Do that voodoo that you do oh so well behind the scenes. Don't talk. And by the way, Kia, there was a reason that President Obama chose to campaign in Newark, New Jersey. Mike had a guest. This is why you should watch Mike on YouTube, on the tube of you folks. He had a guest who is running for, is it state senate or state assembly here in New Jersey, Mike?
State assembly.
Yes, state assembly from Essex County. That is where black turnout in the election of 2021, 2022, and 2024 was a little bit low. Newark is the biggest city in New Jersey. Obama is working hard to turn that turnout problem around for the Democrats. The Democrats, in order to win, need to get huge pluralities out of two counties, two very populous counties, Essex and oh God, just pulled a brain cramp. Hudson, the one right next to it. And that is exactly what your guest was saying. The issue isn't so much that President Trump, and he did do much better in New Jersey in 2024 than he did in 2016 and 2020. And the real reason was because of a lack of turnout. And as we see from the numbers that Cheryl has gotten in early voting, part of it's working. She's increased the numbers by 100,000 over Governor Murphy 4 years ago. So that there's obviously better turnout among Democrats. But the issue is they need those pluralities out of Essex and Hudson County. That is why President Obama chose to speak in Newark.
So I think part to speak to that, part of the issue is I think a big issue is when you have to go back to Obama, which he's an amazing orator. I can listen to him speak. He's got a swag, he's got a style, he's got a presence. I don't even vote in New Jersey. I don't even think I've even been in New Jersey before, but man, he had me feeling hopeful. But the thing is that, just to be straight up honest with you, BIPOC folk don't trust all these white tea people who are running everywhere to do anything to help us or save us or make things better for us. And I think that's what it's getting frustrating. Just kind of goes back to that shit where I keep saying this push for, it's got to be a YT middle of the road Democratic person for our candidate, and it's just like, you're not. Everybody wants our votes. Everybody wants our votes to claim these elections and stuff, but it doesn't seem like anybody's like really listening. I feel like it just seems like it's falling on totally on deaf ears.
Well, Kia, with all due respect, Vice President Harris wasn't white and black turnout was lousy.
But that's not what we're talking about. I think all of that too, that situation, how that situation was handled was just crap anyway. I'm really curious to see if she wasn't thrown in with only, because again, I mean, we had Biden, who decided to wait until the last couple of months of the election, of the whole 4 years of that time. He waited till the last couple of months to drop out. So I don't think that was a fair fight at all, and especially not comparative. Like,
That's a very good point.
And
That's
I
she
think
had
with that
107
response,
days.
I think you kind of missed what I was trying to say. Like, I need people that look like y'all to understand. Like, I almost feels like tokenizing Obama, and it's like, everybody thinks Obama's so great. Why isn't it? Why aren't we out here saying that other people that look like Obama and that speak like Obama could be good choices? It's just frustrating. People are getting frustrated. When I hang out in black spaces and BIPOC lives and stuff like that, people are frustrated. They're frustrated. We make up 13% of the population, 13 to 15%, and our vote is usually the ones that's needed to carry, especially the Democrats. How do you think it makes people feel to hear people on political lives sitting here talk about, but I'm sorry, it's going to take a YT man to save us? Literally, the president of the United States right now is a YT man. And I just think it just goes to show, a lot of people are just losing trust in the whole thing. And again, like I said, with her, I'm really curious if she would have been able to start out and actually run a campaign and not just try to pick up the pieces from Biden. I'm curious to see how that would have looked different, you know?
Yeah, I mean, the real issue is to gin up minority turnout, which has lessened in 2024, and in 2022 it was disastrous. And you can just ask Stacey Abrams. She damn near beat Governor Kemp the first time, and the second time against Governor Kemp, she got slaughtered. And she got slaughtered because black turnout dropped, and she's a black woman. You know, that's not just a New Jersey problem, it's a national problem. And, you know, we had Democrats have to find a better way of communicating with the black and Hispanic communities to get them to turn out. There's a little bit of exhaustion with them, and this is not necessarily in the black community. It's mostly black males. It's not black females who voted at 92% for Harris. It's a black male problem, and turnout and Obama's talked about this a lot. There has to be better outreach by the Democratic Party, because you're quite right, Kia. Without the black vote, the Democrats aren't going anywhere.
And I think, again, it's like, you know, the example you just brought up with Stacey Abrams. It's crazy. Like, and it is frustrating. I do agree. We got to figure out a way to get the messaging to get people to want out there. Because when you have somebody as amazing and fucking awesome as Stacey Abrams versus somebody else, and that other person who's done horrible shit still wins, it is defeating. It is so defeating. So defeating. And it happens. It's just like with me, like, one of the biggest issues I still have with this election is y'all, like, not y'all. When I say y'all, we're not talking to us. Y'all thought that somebody who was a convicted felon who had been held liable for SA, has been through the court system, has been proven racist and all of that, and people thought that was a better choice for this country over an educated Black woman who's literally dedicated her entire career has been towards the betterment of this country and the people that she serves. It is tiring. And I'm telling you, like, that's how I felt. And I've never even run for elections. It is tiring. It is. I don't think you will, Scott, you will never understand what it's like to feel like you're screaming at the top of your voice and you're not being heard. And that's what a lot of us feel. We're not being heard. And the only time anybody gives a damn about what we say is when they need our votes to push us over the voting line, over the winning line. We do. You're right on that. Democrats have to do a better job with the messaging. It seems like we're so out of touch. We need more Dems to be going out in the red places and in the rural places in the middle of the country, not just to the places in the big cities where they have millionaires and billionaires that can donate to their campaign. They need to be listening to other people. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing. We can't keep running elections like we have. It's not going to fucking work. The country has changed too much. Politics have changed too much. We can't keep doing the same things we were doing for 50 and 60 years. We've got to do different, and we got to do better, and we've got to do much better with our messaging. I'll give you that. The messaging has got to do better. We don't have a good solid kind of messaging at all. It just seems like all we do is just fight back against what they're saying. They're setting the narrative and we're fighting against it, is what I feel like.
And it also needs the Black community to get their voters to come out. I mean, the Democratic Party cannot keep having this poor turnout like we had in 2022 and 2024. And it's not just Black voters. The Hispanic voters have been ignored by the Democratic Party for 30 years. And lo and behold, they find that they're losing a lot of Hispanic voters. You know, when people feel ignored, when people, to use your phrase, Kia, feel like you're speaking into a void and nobody hears you, you're not going to stay that loyal. Or it's not as if Black voters are turning around and voting for Trump, although he did do better among the Black vote in 2024. The real problem was so many Black people just said, why am I even bothering to vote? And so many Hispanic people said, why am I even bothering to vote? You know, the Democratic Party discovers that there are Hispanics in America every October of an election year. And then they buy a $10 million ad buy on Telemundo and say, whoa, well, we're finished. You need community outreach 24/7 every day of the week. Every single day, you need community outreach. That's what the Republicans did in South Florida. That's what the Republicans did in Southwest Texas. Why aren't the Democrats doing that? Why did the Democrats just sit there and assume that we own you, you're going to vote for us? Well, people got sick and tired of hearing that. This is a problem of Democratic leadership, and this is a problem of Black Democratic leadership and Hispanic Democratic leadership, of just assuming that the people who you're paying no attention to are just forever and ever and ever and ever, amen, going to vote for you. After a while, people get sick and tired of it. They get tired, again to use your phrase, of yelling into the void and having nobody listening.
Luke, I could care less if Kamala saying the voting age should be 16. It would require a constitutional amendment, so it doesn't matter. We're not going to get a constitutional amendment on voting age on anything. It literally means that is by far the least. For someone who's A, not running for anything, and B, would need something that we're never going to get, it doesn't matter.
And I agree with most of what you're saying. I just still feel, I don't know. Maybe my head is just banging so much, but I still feel like you're missing something, Scott. And I'm getting frustrated with myself because I can't figure it out. But I'm frustrated.
Well, I don't think I'm missing anything. I think you make a good point. People feel like they're talking into a void and nobody's listening, and they get dispirited. And they sit there and say, why should I bother to vote? My vote is meaningless because nothing ever changes. I get that. I understand that. I'm not blaming black people for not voting, for voting at lower levels than we need. I'm saying we've got to do something to fix that. Like, try listening to people, try community outreach, start small. That is something that the Harris campaign was trying to reach into all sorts of small communities, but she only had 107 days to do it. Did it work? No. But was it a bad idea? No, it was a great idea. It's something Democrats should be doing. Democrats as a whole, let's leave the whole racial element out of it for a second. Democrats as a whole love to campaign in areas where they feel welcome. That's not the way to win elections. The way to win elections is to go into areas where you don't have a majority of the vote and talk to people, to listen to them, to hear their concerns. You may not win a majority, but you end up winning a state by peeling off 3 points in this town, 5 points in that town, and 8 points in the town after it. And eventually people will remember that you went to speak to them, even though a majority of the people in that county were not going to vote for you. At least you came to talk to them. Now, that was a change that Harris made, especially in North Carolina. That was a pilot program in North Carolina. Did it work? No. She had only 107 days. I'll bet if she had 6 months, it might have worked.
I guess for me, the thing that's missing, because let's be honest, this is not just a specifically even just American issue with voter turnout in elections and the voter apathy. It's nice to have people come to see you and talk to you or your community. I think for me personally, what's been missing is the actual action on anything that they talk to the people about. It's nice to have somebody talk, but talk's cheap. Like, if you're coming into a community, you have to go in with the intention of doing actionable items should you become elected for that role. And the problem is that you're seeing people realize they've been promised the world by all sorts of different politicians over their lifetime, and never once have they ever received anything that they've been promised. And that is where the issue lies. If you are going to go to a community, make sure that you actually have the intention of doing the stuff.
So,
Even one thing.
so here's my one issue with that statement. And I hear what you're saying, and I understand the frustration on it. We as voters, at least in America, have taught our elected officials that being honest about reality doesn't get them into office. Promising things is the only thing that voters in general, not all obviously, but in general, are listening to. So the reality, like we're dealing with right now, is, if you get a majority, if you have a majority in the House and the Senate, but you don't have a filibuster-proof majority, you may not be able to get everything you want. If you vote someone in, but they're in the minority completely, they almost definitely will get nothing that they say they want to do. So there's a lot of people, at least around here, that don't look at the realities sometimes of the situation, but also don't hold their people accountable. There's, like, I would love it if every politician was more specific about saying, I would like to do this. If we have that, like, these are the things that I'm going to fight for. I can't guarantee we will get them, but these are the things that we're going to fight for, because that's the reality of it. Without a filibuster-proof majority, without a veto-proof majority, there are things that you're going to want to do that you potentially can't get done. Heck, the only reason that this administration has been able to do as much as they have is because we have a Congress that literally abdicated all authority and is allowing this country to be run via executive order. 90% of the things that we are doing right now probably shouldn't be happening if it weren't for how we're doing things in this country. So while I hear you and I agree with you, the problem has always, in the long term, been the voters have not done a good job holding, like, the voters in general have allowed, have taught politicians that the way to get in office is to promise the world during election season, and that's it. And then either they may get some of it done and they can push it, and if they don't, then they just blame the other side, and there's just it's all smoke and mirrors. And again, I understand why that makes people apathetic. I understand why that makes people not want to be involved anymore, but in the same respect, many people have run. Even Kamala Harris ran saying, these are things that I want to do if you give me a Congress to let me do it. And there were people that were frustrated by those statements.
Well, she had a point. And, look, I don't think a single person on this panel, I don't think you, or a single person on this chat thinks that our elected representatives in Washington are doing a good job. And yet, we reelect over 90% of them, year after year after year. We keep reelecting people that we think are doing a horseshit job, which of course goes to why we should be voting in the primaries to get rid of them. But that's a different story.
And Mike, I'm not disagreeing with you. Like, obviously, holding politicians accountable for their promises and therefore their actions is one thing. And I'd like to think most reasonable voters will understand that, hey, a president who doesn't have a Congress who can, I don't know, vote with them is a president with tied hands who can't do anything they wanted to do. We've seen that happen. I've seen that happen several times in my lifetime. And it's not any different here with the Westminster parliamentary blah 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 blah. Like right now, we currently have a minority government. There's talk that we might be headed for another election again this year. Like we need one, because they're about to put forward the budget this week, and if the budget doesn't pass in the House, that is an automatic vote of non-confidence. The government falls, and we go to election. So it's not as if I don't get that, but how it's tended to work, at least here, is that, and how it should work, I'm assuming there, which is why you have a government shutdown, is that the party that's in power has to negotiate with the other parties who don't tend to get the opportunity to have power, and therefore some people get what they want and other people get what they want, and so the public kind of gets stuff they want or need, hopefully, pass through, and it doesn't really matter how it happens. But I guess my whole comment was more just having politicians come in and to talk to us in cities. Like our prime minister came here before the election. It feels very disingenuous to have them come talk to you, to have them come listen to you, to have them then go away and just, well, that was nice, thanks for the vote, bye.
Yeah.
I don't know how you change that, so I get that, but
Well, and it I mean, that's a difficult situation, and I only say it because we are assuming that they're not attempting. It's easy to assume, and I'm not even saying that's wrong, but it's easy to assume that the person didn't attempt to get something passed or do something because we didn't hear about it. And that's not always a guarantee. But that leads to just a very different problem is we're tired of how, like, we don't want politics to be what it is right now, but in the same respect, we don't want to hear nothing. And it's like, how do we I mean, part of it is communication. Part of it is our politicians aren't very good at communicating. You know, if I were one, I would be I would do at least semi the Jeff Jackson route and let people know what I am doing on a regular basis. And I think that should be the case. So in the end, communication is the problem, because there is an assumption that just because we didn't hear about it means they didn't do anything. But in the end, if they're talking to everyone and they're not getting any support for whatever they're trying to get done, obviously we're not going to hear about it. Because why put a bill forth if it does not have the support necessary to even be brought to the floor?
I just I had a
Go ahead.
comment, and then I just wanted to read it. I wanted to bring a couple things in from the other side, because if we're not bringing them in as the conversation, their comments are getting left behind. So then when I do say something, we've already passed that topic. But I agree. And the thing is, Tiffany, is they seem like they have such short memories. And I agree, Mike, that it's communication. They have to, if they put forth something or they're trying to do something, and the other side is like, say the GOP is trying to blocking some, they need to have, like how Scott comes out with facts. They need to have a factual like way to be able to show, like, hey, I'm trying to get this done. This is what's happening. This is why it's not going through, yada yada. And break down those pieces. You can't, not standing up there calling names, not up there just talking shit, but stating factual things like, hey, this is what I want to do. This is what we're running into. How do we make this happen? And engage in the conversation, the communication with us. Because I think often we're kind of okay with, yes, we vote for them to represent us, the representatives, that's what their job is to do. We need to make sure that they're actually talking to us in the first place. They can't go to DC, stay in DC, and just vote and not speak to their constituents about what they want. And I think that's part of the problem too.
Yeah,
But like
I
the
agree. Go ahead. I'm
well,
sorry. Go
the
ahead, Katie.
comments from the other side, um, people were saying, we need to better explain that what we want to do for people, kind of what I just said, that would actually help them. Voters have been too complacent, and if it was less of an issue previously, now it's super important to pay attention. And then Mel was saying, at least here in the US, I think the establishments of both parties are not ready to actually bring the young stars to the front and getting things done. They're comfy. And said, we need to hold the politicians accountable.
Yeah, I think it is completely understandable that people who feel disenfranchised, and I'm not talking about the right to vote, I'm talking about that their voices are not heard ever, get discouraged and just stop voting. That's not a problem, that's a reality. And that is what we have to work on. And it's not just the minority communities of like Hispanic or Black voters, it's also young voters. They are increasingly becoming discouraged with the state of affairs in this country. And the studies are showing that this is a rapidly growing problem. They started out very enthusiastic voters. They voted at a higher rate than any other generation in American history at that age. And now they're becoming rapidly discouraged because, much like minority voters who have also become discouraged, they are feeling that their voices count for nothing. That's a problem. That's a problem. It's not a problem just of the Black community, just of the Hispanic community, just of the Asian community. It's a problem of young voters too. And they have to feel that they are represented. And that goes also to, and this is especially true in the Democratic Party and the Republican Party to a slightly lesser degree, but still true. You have to bring in younger representatives. Now, the time of letting people my age run the country is over, or should be over.
How often do people in Congress shift? Not very often, Brits. You have a 90% chance if you decide to run again to get voted back in. A lot of areas, a lot of districts don't lot of people run unopposed. Um, so it's really hard. And Ash, if is setting term limits with us. So here's the thing. Arguably, if more people got involved, there are already term limits in place, 2 years and 6 years. You could, if people got out and voted, you could easily get people, whether it's through primaries or in general election, you could easily term limit them. Are we in a situation like, and I've normally been very against it. I think we'd have to change the number of years. I don't think you'd get anyone running for Congress if you had term limits with like having to run every 2 years. But I'm more open to term limits now than I used to be because I don't know if if we could get enough people to make those to change the way to get involved. I just don't even know.
I think part of the issue though with our younger folks goes back to education. They truly are not, in some areas, are not being taught what exactly politics means and what it does for you. I mean, when we say they've been working for 50 years on changing the way our education system is run, taken away, when you have people that don't understand how politics actually, affects their everyday lives and stuff like that, that adds to that. They don't understand a lot of times if they're, especially if, and that's not saying everybody, because I know some Bray actually did civics. I was shocked, especially the county that I was in. And I was shocked of the depth of what he learned. And that goes to show he had a teacher who was actually passionate about making sure they had the correct information. But I think that has a lot to do with it. It is taught, Vaughn, in some places. I mean, I live in, like I said, at the high school my son's graduated with, our towns are so small. There's 3 towns that go to that one high school. And he actually did and he just graduated this May of this year.
And yes, Ash, super PACs is a problem. But that's a different, like, you can get rid of super PACs. That's a Supreme Court decision that's made that possible.
Well, Kia, you've touched on one of my favorite subjects, the teaching of history and civics. This is not a new problem. In the last 40 years, at both the secondary and collegiate levels, has been de-emphasized. And we are paying one hell of a price for that.
Yep. And just so you know, it is not a whole ton better north of the border. There is a surprising number of people who do not know how their government works, how their Supreme Court works, how their city council works, for that matter, like, and more importantly, the history of anything. And I think it just showcases how much I think a lot of us took it for granted in school, that social studies or history, civics, whatever it was called, where you were taking education, how important those subjects are and how much they were not emphasized. It was always English and math, English and math, English and math. Even science was sometimes pushed to the side as not as important. And I think we're learning a lesson now of how important each of those subjects are in specific contexts to our life.
Heather, yeah, the rhetoric is bad right now. And it is causing a lot of people to be like, I hear too many people saying, politics just causes too much division. I don't want to talk about it. Again, it goes back to the statement that Kia said. Our life is politics. Everything that you are interacting with in life, in some way, shape, or form, is because of politics, whether it's federal, state, or local. Everything. The rhetoric has gotten bad because, again, it seems worse than it ever has, because what we are now dealing with is a difference of humanity. Of, there's a group of people that don't see certain minority groups as even people, and they are using that idea. They are now injecting that idea into everything, and because it is being injected into everything, it's made it twice as hard to be able to consider having conversations.
Well, Mike, if you want proof, you can look at your own comments in the first hour of every live that you give. And there are numerous comments that evince a fundamental lack of even a cursory knowledge of how our government works. These people make comments that are completely out of left field and show that they know nothing about governance, nothing about the legislative process, nothing about what the executive branch does or the legislative branch or the judicial branch. They understand nothing. They don't even understand the basics of governance in this country. And that's because civics is not emphasized. That's because history is not emphasized. Nobody says that you have to teach civics with a political point of view. Just teach them how the government works and
Mhm.
let them draw their own conclusions.
Yep.
I was really like how I learned it. I wish ours, it wasn't called civics, it was called PIG, participation in government. In the beginning of every class, what we had to do is our teacher would have like the current thing of Newsweek that was out or whatever, and they would be out, and we would have scissors. We'd have to find an article in Newsweek, any article, cut it out, and talk about it and how it applied to like our government and stuff. And then we talked about that intersectionality about how politics affects your actual life, because I had that conversation with my son that just graduated. Like one of the things he didn't get, and I was explaining to him, because he's like, you talk about politics a lot and stuff, and I was explaining to him, I was like, but son, do you understand that the rate of your car insurance that you pay has to do with politics? What you're taught in school has to do with politics. How often you have to get your license and get your car taxes, what your taxes that you pay on your house, all of those things have to do with politics. The amount of rates that your insurance. I was like, not just actual government type stuff, like that you would think of, roads and stuff like that. I was like, but it's other little things. I was like, look at your light bill. Look at what's happening to the insurance companies. These insurance companies keep going to these states governments and like, hey, can we increase our rates 30, 40, 50%? And who you voted for directly gets to affect that. And that's the thing about it. There's all of those things. It's like, I don't think people truly understand how much politics really has to do with so many aspects of everything. The tariffs affect how much we pay for things, all of that stuff.
Yep.
Just a couple of things I just wanted to say from the other side, and then I got to drop so I can get ready for a short live. But people were saying, oh my gosh, there's been a lot of comments over there. Sorry, y'all. Instead of just complaining to your friends and neighbors, you have to tell your local, state, and federal representatives what they're doing is wrong. How are we in the world of tech and things that things are not transparent and we're not getting quick results? They can definitely do it. Because I mean, look what happened when they got together to ban TikTok. Do you remember how quick that damn vote was? It popped up. It was voted within a couple of months. It was done. I mean, even Walmart and their selfish interest are speaking up now. Somebody said that in their county, they do it. They get a quarterly newsletter sent to every household with things that are going on. That's amazing. You know what I mean? To actually keep people in the loop. Hang on, there was something else I really want to see. Somebody did give us a compliment. They said that they've learned more civics with us than they did in high school and school. Maureen said, as a YT woman, I'm getting frustrated that we tried a woman twice and this country can't handle it rhetoric. So I can't imagine the frustration a BIPOC person feels. And just for people to understand what BIPOC means, it means Black, Indigenous, people of color. It's not biracial. It's like a whole big grouping of people, just in case you didn't know. I think for elected politicians, we need to have a naturalized test on air for us to see. That's an idea to talk about.
Could you repeat that one? I didn't hear it.
Somebody said, Brits had said, I think an elected politician need to do like a naturalization test on air for us to see.
Uh-huh. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I can
And
think
I
of a
think
few who would flunk.
Yeah, and I think that's it. But I think, speaking to that, I think that's an amazing idea. And I know people don't test well, so if you have to have somebody else read it to you, that's okay. If you need to do it in a video form, that's okay. Doesn't have to just be pen and pencil. I'm totally okay with that. But if just because you were born here, you think that you're something special and you deserve all these things that people who come here and try to do their best to try to achieve some of those things, if they should try that hard, if they should have to pass a test to become a citizen, why as citizens should we not know all of that same stuff? And damn sure our elected politicians. I would agree with that. But I will let you drop me. I'll be live in a couple minutes for a little bit. I'm gonna show the kitties.
One more second before you get dropped, because I want to ask you
Okay.
something.
Okay.
You listen to a local radio station a lot, correct?
WREL. It's an independently owned news station that's out of Raleigh, but it's independently owned. Yes.
That is one of the major problems we have in this country, is that local news is disappearing. And with local news disappearing, a sense of community disappears. That is a horrible thing that we are seeing with the conglomeration of media all under these big, huge corporations. They are destroying local news sources. It's not just national politics that matters. Local politics matters too, and people have no way of finding out about what's going on in their towns, increasingly in America. That is a major problem that is not getting enough attention.
And just real quick, WRAL actually, I have to see if I can find, they have a Tube of View and they have a website, so anybody can access that information. And they do like politics stuff that doesn't just have to do with North Carolina, but the country. So-and-so said this, is this true? And then they pull up stuff, they show you receipts, they fact checked with Politico. But Scott, to be honest with you, and Mike and everybody, honestly, until here recently, as since the orange one has come into being, and like the active attack on truth and facts and that kind of stuff, and seeing, like, when I hear people in these lives talking about the news ain't talking about it, the news, and I started to realize I'm truly blessed, and people who are that we have access to that kind of information, that it's independently owned, that I see a lot of stuff. People are like, well, our news doesn't talk about it, and I'm like, ours did. Ours gave out maps and told you where you can go take place, participate in the musical festivals. They're putting out information on where to go for food banks, food assistance, how to do all of those things, and that's something that every person should have access to. So even if you don't agree with us, y'all should be pissed off that they are actively going after that. Scott, you're right. And with that, I'm gone. Bye.
Bye.
Have a good day. Hope you feel better with the migraine. Well, folks, I've been told to give the commercials, so here goes. It's been another interesting conversation, as it always is, and we know who to thank for that. That's your host, Mike. And if you look in the upper left-hand corner of your screen, you're going to see his name. But as you already have guessed, that's not what I want you to pay attention to. Pay attention to that little orange heart and give it a tap. Because when you do, a big giant screen will come down. And on the right-hand side of that screen are 6 small rectangular boxes. Some will be blank. Don't worry about those. However, some will be shaded in black. Please tap on those black boxes. And what you will see is that your host gets points. But wait, you guessed it. There's something in it for you too. You get the same amount of points. What a super deal, and it's all tariff-free. You think of that. Where are you going to find that nowadays? And folks, one more thing I want to remind you of. We've been talking about it a lot lately. Please go over to the Tube of View and check it out. I think you'll enjoy it, and there's really 2 reasons for it. First and foremost, the content's excellent. Mike always has interesting guests that he likes to talk with, usually about politics, but not always. And they are informative, they are inquisitive, you're going to learn something, and they have excellent conversations because, as you've already gathered, Mike is pretty good at this stuff. So he's good and his guests are good, and you can't get much better than that. So if you haven't tried one of them, just try one because I know you're going to like it. And the second reason is, well, folks, we don't know what the future of this app is. We don't know what's going to happen to TikTok. The warning signs are out there. We know who the new board of directors is. That's not very encouraging. So we're all going to have to become a little bit more used to being over on the tube of you. Even someone who's as terrible at that stuff as I am is getting used to it now. It's not that hard to get used to. The graphics are better. You don't get blocked in some of your comments. You don't get filtered. It's a lot better interaction. So give it a try. Just go over there one day and just spend an hour or so of the live on there, and I think you'll see what I mean. And, give it a shot because we just don't know what's going to happen over here. So it's in our own best interests in this community to become conversant on the tube of you as well.
And also, just so everyone knows that's on the TikTok side. So now the first 30 minutes of every live are just on the tube. So if you come on and it seems like we're already in the midst, it's because we are. We started 30 minutes 30 minutes earlier over there. So it's an awesome place to be. You should really hang out. We have a lot of fun over there. In the end, I would love it if more people were hanging out over there than over here because again, I think it's a much better place to have a conversation at this moment. Yeah. And again, tomorrow, new episodes coming out. So if you like podcasts, if you like longer form content, we got a new one coming out tomorrow. So we're trying to grow. We're trying to make it so I can do this full time. And also, again, if you're over on the tube, there's a thing down at the bottom where I'm trying to raise money for something to do that trying to add more content because, that's exactly what I need to do is keep adding more content. But I already do things like go for walks, so I'd use it and I'd be able to talk. And yeah. So it's 12 o'clock. So okay. You guys, thank you everyone. Thank you, Scott and Tiffany and Kia, for hanging out. You guys are awesome. Thank you for the likes, the shares, and the gifts. You guys rock. Thank you for everyone on the tube for being here since the beginning. You guys are helping add those view hours that are making it possible for me to be able to do more stuff. And I appreciate you guys for that. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning, where again, it'll be a long live because we will be talking about, it'll be election day. So if you know anyone that wants to pay attention, send them here. Because we're going to be talking about it. We'll talk about we'll take a look at any election that's going on. And we'll talk about, yeah. Anyways, when do you start tomorrow? Same time, 9:30 in the morning, Eastern time. And I'm seeing if I can get some people up on here, but we'll see. We'll see. Some of them might be busy, but same bat time, same bat channel. That's right. And again, both here and on the tube. So, okay. Have a great day, guys. You guys are amazing just the way you are, and I love you all very much. Stay safe, stay healthy. Remember to sing, laugh, dance, smile, do something that makes you happy. Bye, guys. Goodbye, YouTube. You guys rock. I'll see you tomorrow.